Yo, haha, Miltnificent.
What is good, YouTube? Your boy Miltnificent coming back with another quick video today. I said I wasn't going to do this, but I ended up picking up the Jordan 11 Legend Blues. Now, this shoe is controversial just because for some people, it's nostalgia. You want to get something that Jordan wore previously in his years, something that hasn't re-retroed. And let's just face it, 10 years? 2014 was the last release. So it makes sense for people to go out there to get something that they've been coveted for a minute. I came in the shoe game 2017, and I told myself, you know what, as I'm seeing, kids of my age back in my high school years, I would see people wear shoes, retro Jordans all the time. I would love it, but it was like something like, if I get older, maybe it's something I'll do just, as a hobby to collect shoes. And one of the shoes I did want to collect was the Jordan 11 Legend Blues, as we know them as the Columbias. But it's interesting about this story and the drama that kind of unfolds when you talk about the Jordan 11 Legend Blues, aka the Columbias, just because there's a lot of history that goes on with it for some people. So I'm going to break this down real quick so people will, kind of understand it from A to Z. Basically, when Tinker Hatfield created the Jordan 11, he was trying to create a shoe for Jordan that, at least Jordan brand that made sense, something that was stylish both on the court and off the court. And listen, he did not go wrong when he came out with the design. Basically getting inspiration, if you look at the patent leather, you look at the sports car / like a lawnmower, the toughness of a lawnmower. They want to construct a shoe that had that, the infamous carbon fiber shank plate that we see on the bottom of every Jordan 11. It's funny though when you look at the story, because Jordan came back in the NBA after retiring the first time, went to go play for the White Sox, played baseball, came back in 1995 of March. And you know what? It was like, I'm going to come back in the game. I got to come back in style. And this shoe wasn't actually supposed to debut when Jordan actually kind of wore it when he shouldn't have, if that makes sense. The Jordan 11 Concords is what I'm talking about. So when this shoe came out in 95, you got to keep in mind the Jordan 11 Columbias did not come out just yet. It was kind of like the considered the 94-95 season, because as the 95-96 season started, that's when the Bulls went 72-10. I mean, losing 10 games out of 82 is amazing, but it's only when that season started is when we saw the Jordan 11 Columbias. Of course, the OG colorways in the Jordan 11 series were kind of Chicago-based, at least the first two in the high, with the Concords and the Breads. But they also released a Jordan 11 IE Low, if I'm not mistaken, which was a Cobalt series, and another black and red series, which it was kind of like good and it kind of wasn't, if that made sense. But the interest was definitely on the Jordan 11. Now, before I get into the actual shoe, I did tell myself that I wasn't going to get it just because, you know what? I had the Jordan 11 Adapts. Kind of the same thing. Of course, this has a low cut, and the Jordan 11 Legend Blues that came out this year has a high cut, which you can see kind of the differences mainly towards the back when you kind of put two and two together. So with that said and done, man, let's get straight into it. Kind of continue the story. Jordan 11 Legend Blue. Whew, man, let's see what's going on here. Oh wow, and I can see that the paper. Okay, I see what they did. They gave you the whole. You look at the paper itself; it's kind of sporting that whole carbon fiber plate design on the bottom of the actual shoe. And for the first time on the Miltnificent channel, man, Jordan 11 Legend Blues. Now this shock drop, and I actually skipped it because I went after an array of different shoes, including the AE1 Knicks gift that I did on a review not too long ago. Oh man! And I know a lot of people were debating whether to get this shoe because over time it yellowed. Now this shoe released in 1996 as the Columbias, right? So you figure. It's funny how life kind of unfolds because, Jordan is basically paying homage to his UNC days. It was the UNC colorway. So you see the Columbia. But the whole UNC, you couldn't trademark that name at the time. So at the time, they called it Columbias when it released in 1996 and then re-released, if I'm not mistaken, in 2001. The problem is that trademark Columbia, Nike couldn't carry that when they released it again in 2014. So it transitioned from Columbia to Legend Blue. So that's why we see the Legend Blue in 2024 in this series. And honestly, the colorway is nice. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, this differs a little bit from the OG just because the OG featured the whole mesh while This one featured leather. We didn't see this shoe, at least Michael Jordan's wearing it, until the NBA All-Star break. And when he bust these out, of course, it didn't make sense for him to wear this during the regular season, especially during that 72-10 run, just because the colorways wouldn't go with what he's wearing in terms of, I think there was a color code issue in the NBA where whatever jersey you have, certain colors you can and cannot wear. And if I'm not mistaken, again, it wouldn't make any sense for him to wear something like this with the Chicago Bulls colorway. It just would throw things off. But when people saw it for the first time, it was one of those things like, wow, that's different from what we saw with the Concords and the Breads, but this one definitely pops. And it's interesting about the Jordan 11 series just because they couldn't release, or they didn't release, another UNC colorway in his retro line after the Jordan 11 release. There was no Jordan 12 UNC or Legend Blue or Jordan 13, Jordan 14. You get what I'm saying. So I'm guessing that Nike said, look, there is nothing that's going to top this shoe in terms of the design. Again, that high cut patent leather. But the blue, if I'm not mistaken, the blue hue that Nike chose this year is supposed to withstand that yellowish tone that you kind of see happening with that transition, especially if you have, I'm not sure how many people still have the 2001 version or even the 96 version, where I'd be curious to see if yours yellowed over time. So some people thought, you know what, based off the price point, I'm not going to get it. But this definitely is a part of history, and your boy had to get it. The blacks, kind of like the interior, I should say, at least this is good, so it doesn't dirty over time. This is an instant classic for the classic holiday season, and I'm glad. I'm actually really happy to have this on the Miltnificent channel. Of course, you got those traction pads on the bottom towards the heel, and the actual, oh man, I'm sorry. I'm just like, I'm looking at it trying to make sure I don't have any defects, but the footbed in itself, like the design, the classic glow, this definitely brings back nostalgia, and I can actually remember the NBA All-Star game as it's happening. If I'm not mistaken, Jordan actually won the MVP of that All-Star game, at least in 1996. So, this definitely brings a lot of nostalgia for a lot of people who grew up watching Michael Jordan. Even if you didn't have a chance to watch Jordan in his heydays, at least you're kind of getting like a summary of what happened and why, what the hype is. It's just that I think that because of the price point of $230 is the only reason why it didn't fly off as fast as it normally would have, right? But don't underestimate. This is something that Jordan wore, and I could definitely see being valued over time, just because unlike the Breads, the Concords, this one doesn't release. Even though it's an original OG colorway, it doesn't release often. 96, 2001, 2014, fast forward 2024. It's only retroed 4 times. So, it makes you wonder, well, when's the next release? 2034? 35, you get what I'm saying? So it's best for a sneaker collector or a sneakerhead, you get it now, stash it so you don't have to worry about, oh man, this is something that I could have had, but because of whatever circumstance, I decided not to get. If you're a shoe collector, you definitely wanted to get it. But comment below, man, let me know, did you pick up the Jordan 11 Legend Blue / Columbia's during the shock drop? Or did you pick it up during the regular release like I did? Again, I couldn't even get it on Sneakers app. I had to go to Snipes. Can't remember where I put the paper, but shout out to Snipes for delivering this, because if it wasn't for you guys, I'd be SOL comes Christmas, and your boy would not be able to kind of rock his Jordan 11s. But I look forward to doing that. Your boy Miltnificent, man. Jordan 11 Legend Blue Columbias. Hopefully that summary was good for you guys, man, just because, that's kind of what it means for the sneaker community. Jordan 11 has always been an instant classic during the holiday releases, and this one definitely is going to be near and dear to your boy, because he finally has at least the original 3 OG collections on the Miltnificent channel. Something that I never thought I'd be able to do, at least back in my kid days, but now looking kind of the adult stage, your boy's happy, man, and very, very grateful. But your boy Miltnificent, man, I am out. Let's do that on feet for the Jordan 11 Legend Blue / Columbias. You guys, stay blessed.